So there will not be code on screen because well, if the thumbnail didn't already show it, as I have now finally updated my PERM version, is that I need to go over some things that I think I made a mistake on earlier. Well, it's not really mistakes, but as we get Yogatag 7 Curse, I'll let you know when we get past the timestamp. Otherwise, as we have shown, and if nothing else I should have said earlier, yes, there's an English version of the character that I've been playing like about 10-20 episodes ago, so this is, yes, I'll mention it again, but I forgot what I was on. I was gonna say Nightly Aura. It wasn't Nightly Aura, but yeah, I helped with the translation, and that's why I'm in the credits. That should kind of be self-explanatory because I'm in the credits. So, as we get into Yogatag Nightly Aura, again, this character is now available in English on Nexus Mods. I don't think there's anywhere else at the moment, but there are some things to note. Immediately here is that, yeah, so this is supposed to say, well, this is a meme, by the way, a specific VTuber meme. So probably, I mean, if you want to fix this, it would probably, I mean, you the viewer, because you can go into the Ito files as well, it's supposed to just say refrigerator. Shrug, but otherwise just know this is a meme. You can leave it if you want, but just know that don't blame the translator or the creator for that. That's me, and I am partially the translator anyway. So, yeah, without further ado, I'll mention a few other things later on because there are changes to the gameplay for this character. So, I mean, really really it's the character being updated because obviously things to mention right away. There are no images, but images, if nothing else, at minimum doubles the amount of time it takes to basically create a character or an event or a mystery, so on and so forth. So, yeah, not much else to say at the moment. Light, knowledge, strength, second mystery, dexterity, and charisma. But there is a lot to say. Hey, no Takushin or second counter checks. But yeah. So, getting into kind of the gameplay aspect of this character, basically it's an interesting juggle. It's something that I've also been thinking about incorporating basically a whole mechanic to the character, using several or a few base game things. Several would be a bit too much in my opinion. So, what I mean in particular is that you are forced into some events, or you're not always forced, but you are I would say you're highly advised to enter some events as we get Bulletin, Kana, Ramen, Auteur, and Cicadas. Oh, hold on a second. I mean, I know I'm taking Kana first, but I want to take next. Probably Bulletin, Auteur? Yeah, Bulletin, Auteur. If Cicadas has an encounter, or it has a hard fight in it, goes to show what I know. But first and foremost, as usual, you will be preparing here, but there are some things to note. I mentioned before that the price of going to the market here does change. So as we grab a slicer knife here, and the text actually goes up. That was my fault when I was translating. Again, a lot of my translation was used for the English version of this character, which is now official, because I think the creator uploaded it to Nexus Mods. I mean, I should know, but I'm just being vague here. Nice police station, by the way. Max threat level school and downtown. Well, hey. But just know that there are things happening. So it's... and this goes for basically general advice as well, which is why I think it's important to note now. But anytime that you basically make things easier for the player is usually preferred. There is not a sliding scale, but there is a scale of how accurate you are to an original language, whether it's Korean, whether it's Japanese, whether it's Chinese, whether it's German, whether it's Polish, so on and so forth. You do want to make sure, and we need to go for mashed dishes here, you want to make sure that the intent gets across. I'm a very, not too avid, but I would normally choose to go with a translating intent rather than translating to the language, if that makes any sense. I can speak more on that later, but let's grab some part-time work. And I need to also grab my ingredients again. So, could sell the notes. We're just going to hold on to them for the moment. What are we doing? Kana? Yeah, Kana. So, as we accidentally... So, for those who don't know, maybe I didn't mention it a lot, but if you take something out of the storage that can basically, not rot is not the right word, but basically the quality decreases, it could decrease, as I think you saw there, because it's no longer fresh. That's a choice I made. I don't know, again, I don't know Korean myself, so I'm just kind of guessing, or I am guessing, when I assume that primarily the quality versions are like fresh, into the normal version like apple, potato, meat, raw meat, shrimp, so on and so forth, for examples, conceptual examples, and then it goes to stale. But an example of what I'm talking about, I'm kind of doing hand motions real. An example of what I'm talking about, did I do this by the way? Oh, please. Is that... Whoops. Well, hey. It's fine. I think we still get penalized. I mean, it's interesting to find out what happens when you get penalized here, but yeah, again, I'm usually for translating intent, but there is a scale, and the scale is usually when obviously when the game breaks, but basically something does not fit the format of what you're translating into. For example, say you have something that's called very, 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 very sweet maple syrup. That whole title will not fit in this inventory space, so the challenge for translating, or one of the many translation challenges, is making something that translate intent, in the case that's what you want, and I feel that's what you usually want, while also maintaining basically the player's quality of life, so that they don't have to guess. Now, for World of Four specifically, we can mention this one because this is a good example. So, cooking comp schedule, this is a weird place to put a period. You could probably use CK period. You could probably you could probably just say CC schedule. But again, at a certain point, you want to mention it. My little, not nuance, but what am I trying to say? Peeve here for myself, because I'm the one who translated this, is that the C is kind of cut off here, but for the most part, the player can understand what it means. But then again, that's also because there's not a second title that you can name, so whatever is named here is named here. So this is supposed to say cooking competition schedule, but obviously in languages like Chinese, Japanese, Korean, you have a lot more space to work with, because I don't want to say letter, but each symbol in those languages brings a lot more meaning, and I think it's an advantage of those languages over English. Shrug, that's all I'm saying. But as we move on here, did I just avoid the cooking penalty, by the way? I guess we're going to find out. I feel like I didn't, but I don't remember. I thought what the penalty was experience, but we'll move on. So, bulletin next, to get this out of the way, and let's actually find out. So, just making sure that there are no weird bugs, but for the most part, I think this character is near complete. I think there are maybe like 1 or 2 moments, because I did like a half of a test run. Oh my goodness, my reason, by the way. But again, we'll see. The character is being updated pretty much, over time. And if it's not, well, let me know. But yes, there are... basically, a better translator than me would know both Korean and English to understand the nuances between both languages. Again, I just did my best with, machine translation with secondhand dictionaries off of the internet. Shrug, that's all I have to say at the moment. We need to visit the forest, by the way. And then understanding the nuance in English. Again, I'm not like an English major myself, but I'll do my best with what I've got, because I do have translation experience. In case I didn't already mention it, I did take take a class, but I did and have translated Japanese into English to some experience. Not professionally, but it's to some experience. So, again, understanding the challenges and the risks that you can take when you're translating, and especially when you get something wrong. Which is why I believe when you're translating, you really should be going for intent, because otherwise, a story, a character, whatever you're translating, the actual message of it comes across. I'll give you a really simple example, as I don't remember which I needed to use. Please remind me. Nope, never mind. I'm just gonna say mashed dishes is what I have anyway. But yeah, that was not the right one. Whoops. So to note, one thing that's changed between this version and the previous version is that now there are stat checks. There's a couple other things as well. The normal events that you've seen me play before are now added when you're walking across investigations, normally in a mystery. That being said, so in my test run before the off recording, I actually succeeded all these checks, no matter how high my stats were. These are real checks, by the way. For those, maybe I'll show that in the code next time. But yeah, these are real checks, so you pass them, and being able to win competitions with them would be nice. Also, just to note, there are still things that have not been translated yet, but in my opinion, just getting something working, whether it's a character, a custom mystery, that bird cry distracted me, or whatever it is, make sure it works and it doesn't crash, because I would rather have something that reliably doesn't crash than something that crashes, but is perfectly translated, if that makes any sense. And in the case of video games in general, like what would you prefer as a consumer or a player? Would you rather have something that crashes 25% of the time, but it's look, translation's perfect, which you want the translation to be a translation to be good, or would you rather have something that is mediocrely translated at least, but it's not like it still gets the intent across? And it doesn't crash. Again, in the case of World of Horror, at least get something working, which is why I don't like, if you have to use like a template image as this character does, then please do so, because again, this character is very ambitious, by the way. Nearly, I think at least 30 different events and items, and an image needs to be made for each of them. Not counting, hold on, let me just make sure I did the thingamajiggy. Not counting, I forgot what I was going to say, never mind. Oh goodness. The past 16 hours have not been nice to me at the time of this recording, because I have just been going absolutely crazy. Oh, that reminds me, I was wondering whether or not I wanted to mention it, but I guess if you're listening at this point, I might as well, because you're someone who is invested in these videos. But let me know if you have any ideas, or if you have any thoughts on basically me dating a video more, basically putting in the title, I think, like the time and date. I was trying to figure out the best way to do that, but and it's not even that it hurts my algorithm if I cared that much about it. It's that auteur, by the way. I am autopiloting completely. It's that I'm thinking about the viewer experience and how logical that is. That's not the right phrasing, but I'm trying to get across what I'm trying to get across. Because I do know, like, even going through my own channel, that's why I made the playlist the way I do. I made them, and in fact, I think there's like a few moments in which I accidentally, add a video to a series that's basically haven't been. So, for example, I'll use specific examples on my channel. So, say I go back to playing Stellaris, say I go back to playing Against the Storm, both of which are games that I really want to get back to at some point in my life. But if I get back to them, I would normally make or at least at this moment, I would make a separate playlist for them and kind of note that they happen in 2026, at least the year in which I played, especially if there has been a difference in year since I played them, and both of those games I have on this channel anyway. Time and again, I go back to playing some of those games because I need to, what's the word? It's not like I'm in a developer's block, but I do kind of need to get my brain juices flowing in game design, so yeah. And that might sound weird because I primarily develop games in RPG Maker, but that doesn't mean you can't learn from other genres of games. So as we take a step back and talk about what we were going on before, is that, yeah, dating videos, it makes sense, but I kind of already do that in a way. I would, basically, if you had to ask me, I would rather separate my playlist than basically title videos differently, if that makes any sense. And if that doesn't make sense, please let me know, because I'm sure I've misunderstood something at some point. But, as we grab just an injury, because, why do stats matter? Yeah, grilled dishes, right? So that usually requires meat. I think we need something else, but I don't remember the exact ingredients. So, that's a me thing, though. That's player error. So here, we are going to hope that... Let me see here. I think I usually need some kind of vegetable, but you know what? We'll just use the funds we have. And yeah. And I think you actually investigate instead of use. So that's something that you've seen before, so don't get it twisted. Now you need to actually investigate the location, but it's well worth it. I think doing this character's... And it really should be the case that you use a character's mechanic. So in this case, actually going through the cooking competitions, because if you don't do that, you don't get... One, you're missing out on experience that I think overall is better, better for you. But you also grab extra goodies that allow you to keep your stamina high. Now, it's stamina, but at the same time, it's stamina. There are gonna be more than a few runs, like near 30-40%, where stamina can be a problem. So therefore, going through the cooking competition, getting extra experience, and then getting possible healing items is nice to do. If, the food also just heals the character herself, so shrug. But... And this is just one aspect of the character. Basically, when you prepare, you have 3 different builds for the character. It's not a build, but you can make strategic choices. That's as much as I'll say without tripping over my own words. So, so the slicer knife is for bonus damage against human enemies, but I think you normally get meat instead of different varied sorts of items. Clam knife gives you items based on the enemy type, possibly, but it allows you to basically RNG into different types of ingredients, so it's not always meat that you may not be able to use for, well, other types of dishes. That coat went into the Aether because we have no more storage. Not to say there are downsides, but at least it's a very engaging downsides. Not just like, oh, they take -1 reason at a proc chance, which is something that I'm doing on my own character, so I do need to think. But for this character, she does. I feel like she's the most in-depth custom character we have, and in fact, I think she is the most. She is the most in-depth custom character we have. So, if you want to see basically a high, definitely at minimum a high bar of custom character that you can make with perm, let me repeat that because it's not always available, then yeah, play this character and you'll see. I was going to mention something, but I didn't know it was going to be correct. So we're going to go into cicadas now, level up, and move on. Now, note that we now have new perks, so I should actually go over them. This gets rid of the cookbook, but you basically get these stat increase. I think there's an extra effect as well, and then you get your ingredients stay fresh for longer, and then I think there's lower dodge actions for every item in inventory. I think it speeds up the dodge actions. Actually, I'm going to take this and see how that functions. So I know what the calculation for dodge looks like, and we have a very low dexterity, so I guess we're going to really find out how useful it is. But to kind of go over general things, if you're giving a character something that, especially if it works on a proc chance, like freshness, for example. Oh, dodge, okay, yeah, dodge multiplier. Then I believe you should normally give them something else along with it if it's supposed to be something positive. But it kind of depends, because in my own characters I do things like that, but it's something very direct, like HP and whatnot. Whereas something like, time speed, the proc chance on, say, an item in your inventory changing is not as direct as something that procs, reason or stamina loss. For example, even curses like suicidal and or paranoia are pretty straightforward things, but if you want something more in-depth, and if you want to have have a person kind of think more than not at all, then yeah, you would use events like this where you have at least 2 different effects. That's all I'm trying to say. Especially if it's a proc chance. But you don't always have to do that. Do whatever is immersive and or fun for you. Shrug. That's all I have to say at the moment. So, with dodge, I think it's 120 minus dexterity times 8, if I recall. And never mind. It's something different. Oh, wait. This makes your dodge even slower. Question mark? If that's the case, please correct me if I'm wrong about this. Oh, yeah. Plus to the multiplier. Lower. So the slower dodge actions for every... Yeah, that actually makes sense. I don't know why I would say faster. So slower dodge actions for every item in inventory, but you're not dodging anyway, so shrug. Also, does this character normally have low dexterity? Well, basically, you're not getting a dodge. That does have some nuance, by the way. I'm not just laughing that off. The reason for that is because there are moments, especially when you're about to die, when dodge may be your only saving grace, and if you can't dodge at all into an attack, you basically just accept death, or you lose the run, so shrug. But if I were to look at the other one while I'm autopiloting here, never mind, I just died. Well, I guess I'll just take it. How many times did I miss? I swear that was at least like 70% accuracy, right? Although, wait, did we take double damage? Well, I'm going crazy. Well, anywho, I will be playing this character at least 1 or 2 more times, but I also will release several things that I was supposed to be releasing that I mentioned in the previous episodes. But those will happen as bonus videos, because basically I attach those videos over to a thing wherever I upload them. So yeah, without further ado, I'll get my salty run back later. Thank you for watching. I'll see you later. Bye!